The head of Claude Code at Anthropic has just admitted he did not write a line of code in the last 2 months. He also said in the last 2 days he shipped over 49 features, and not one line was written by a human. But here's the part nobody's talking about. He says most of developers are vibe coding entirely wrong. And if you don't fix it in the next year or two, that you may be the bottleneck. I'm going to overview what he went through in this exclusive conversation and give you some major takeaways to make sure you're one of the best vibe coders out there. Most people think vibe coding is just opening Claude or Cursor, writing a feature, and pushing it. But the distinction is between engineers and not engineers, the mess that potentially can be created. People with a non-technical background creating these applications can often make mistakes, such as leaking API keys, random DB writes, SQL injections, and the list goes on. A good vibe coder should also penetration test their software, because after all, a good product shouldn't be broken easy. Another point he made is that software engineers don't exist anymore. The software engineer is Claude. You are now a product manager. We don't care anymore about the how. The how is managed by Claude. We care about the why. Why are we building this? Does this add business value? A bad vibe coder will just add silly features. Build X feature. Fix this bug. Eric, the man who did this presentation, suggested that you should have a separate window just to understand the codebase. Have a 15 to 20 minute conversation, just collecting relevant information, how the codebase works, the architecture. If you invest in understanding your software up front, you may know certain limitations to your architecture. And more importantly, you want to be able to describe your codebase to people. If you give it to somebody else, how are they going to code? Next, he talks about mental model. He talks about leaf nodes versus core architecture. I thought this idea was really interesting. What he's saying is the core architecture of the software should never be touched by AI, but rather the leaf nodes. What this means is potentially a smaller feature or a new inclusion to your software. Great, AI could be great for that. Stuff like authentication systems, DB schemas, core APIs, or any other dependent features can all be risks if you vibe code those. Those are core architectural integrations in your software. And if you don't understand what's going on, your application might be going in the wrong direction. You accrue a lot of technical debt by not understanding your core architecture, whereas a low impact feature is something that AI can do way easier anyways. That's not to say leaf nodes can evolve into bigger things, but the moral takeaway of this is that your core architecture should be coded by you, or at least you should be closer to it. Another takeaway I got was we need to design for verifiability. Can we verify the inputs and outputs of our software? Can we write end-to-end tests, stress tests, regression tests? This is more formally known as test-driven development, where you actually write tests first and write code to solve those problems. Claude makes it really easy for you to use test-driven development, to write your tests first and then write your code afterwards to comply to those tests. He had some really interesting practical tips as well. He says he uses Claude and Cursor at the same time, which was novel to me. He lets Claude handle the more autonomous executions, but Cursor for smaller little details. He also says you should compact your software strategically. Think of it like checkpoints in a video game. There's natural stopping cycles, potentially building a new piece out of your feature. When you want to take your lunch break, make sure you push everything, give it good commits. And the big takeaway here is if you're unfamiliar with code bases, take 15, 20 minutes and really get to understand the code base. Ask Claude what the code base is doing. Ask about the architecture. You want to have a mental model of what the architecture is really doing before you get into it. So those are some of the main takeaways I got from the head of Claude Code at his seminar talking about how to maximize your usage of vibe coding. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.